title summarizes everything. On mobile, English is not my first language. I will try to keep this short, but it's still long. Me 33 male and wife 34 male have been married for 11 years. We have 1 kid, 6 female. We have a big house. She earns more than I do, but generally we are very stable financially. Our marriage has been good with normal ups and downs up until the beginning of last month. My new job, which I had gotten after I was fired from my first job when the pandemic hit, requires me to travel a lot. My wife was happy as she had started complaining when she saw like she's the only one working and I was doing nothing to look for a new job. I had been gone for 2 weeks and this was the first time I was out of town for the job. I got lucky and got to go home 3 days early. I dropped by at a friend's house to pick up some flowers to surprise my wife. He is a florist, only to find my wife in the kitchen putting her clothes back on and my friend zipping his pants. My heart dropped and I felt like fainting. I couldn't see and I felt like throwing up. I took out my phone and takes a few photos. I get back to my car, leave and book a hotel room a few miles away. I text my wife and tell her that I won't be home in another week due to work. Cheating has always been a deal breaker for me. I know what it can do to people, as my brother has been cheated on severally and it totally broke him. I call him, tell him everything. He is very supportive. We call his lawyer and files for the divorce. A week later my wife is served. My phone blows up with texts and calls. She denies cheating. I sent her the proof and I hang up the phone. She asks me to come home and talk. I sent the photos to my parents and her parents so that she doesn't spin the story. Switch off my phone and I decide to use my work phone. I switch it back on 2 days later and my phone is spamming with texts and calls from friends and family. I talk to my mom, who asks me to go check up on my daughter. I get home and my wife gets on her knees crying, begging, sobbing, asking for forgiveness and another chance. She was a mess and looked like someone who haven't had sleep in a long time. I was having none of it and I packed her shit up and kicked her out of my house. Called her parents to come pick her up. She spends the whole day at my door crying, asking me to open the door so that we could talk. My parents pick my daughter up school and stay with her for the next few days. For the next few weeks my wife tried to talk to me. She would show up at my work, found her at the door in the morning before I left for work and before I came back home, asking her friends to try speak to me. Somehow convinced my parents to take her side, ask me to at least try to talk to her. Her parents even came and asked to talk to her, that she's not good. At other times she came with her friends to try to talk to me. I was adamant that I didn't want to talk anything about the cheating or reconciliation. Or I wanted to talk about was the divorce. Anyway, it all stopped for a few days before I got a call from my mom telling me that my wife tried to commit suicide. She was in the hospital. Mom asked if I could go check on her since she tried to commit suicide because of me. I get to the hospital and her parents won't let me see her, especially her mother, who looked at me with cold eyes. Most of her friends and family blamed me. The nurse talks to them since my wife kept asking if I came to check on her. I go in and she immediately starts crying. I felt guilty and sorry for her. She apologized profusely. She said that she didn't want to lose me and if I wasn't in her life then her life is meaningless. She said that the affair was the most stupid and selfish she ever made. They had been having an emotional affair for a week leading up to me leaving, and turned physical when I left. It's been 2 weeks since it happened. I told her to give me time to think about it, and I have been numb the whole time. She got released and is staying with her parents, and I am regularly checking on her. I don't know what I'm looking for. I guess this is just a rant. My wife cheated on me and left for another guy last year. Came back and now I don't know if I want her around. Hello community. This is the first time I've used a forum for this situation. In fact, this is the first time I've used Reddit at all. I came on here to find a sense of community, I guess. I have been struggling with my wife's infidelity for over a year now. I don't want to bring it up with friends or family because I don't want to wear anyone out. I have been looking for a place that I can discuss the problems with people who have experienced similar situations and share with people in a way that won't come across as pathetic. So thanks for welcoming me to your community. I hope to find some value in my life, and if I can contribute some quality to someone else's life. Here is the background. I am 28 years old and have been married to this woman for 7 years. Yes, I got married too young. We have a child who is 5 years old now. I love and adore my child with all my heart, and a part of me still loves my wife. Memorial Day 2019 I had to work but my wife had the day off. We had spent the evening before on a date. We went to the bar, had a few drinks, talked, walked and had sex. Things seemed great. I went to work the following day, Memorial Day. My daughter was at my in-laws because she had spent the night so my wife and I could go on a date the night before. When I came home my wife had gone shopping, picked the kid up, and purchased a new car seat for her. My wife kissed me, said hi honey, we talked about the day, then went to a movie with her family. We got home late and put the kid to bed. My wife went outside after the kid was in bed to smoke. I sat on the couch because I don't smoke. She came in, we got ready for bed and when we got into bed she said we needed to talk. She told me she kissed someone that day. She hung out with a guy she knew and they made out. In addition to making out with him, she was in love with her friend's husband. She claimed her and her friend's husband hadn't had any physical connection, swore that she never did, and still says she didn't. Although I assume that is a lie. She said she was going to live with her parents for a while. We talked all night. The next day she went to a pre-planned concert with a friend. She saw the guy she kissed again and ended up spending the night with him. I was destroyed. I felt so utterly horrible about myself. She ended up moving out and living with her parents. She stayed there for about 7 weeks while she continued to see this guy, but bounced back and forth between 1. Making things up for her family and 2. Wanting to be single. This party went on with ups and downs, sex and no sex for 7 weeks until this time last year I got fed up. One night she was supposed to come over while I was at a baseball game with my daughter. She was supposed to get what she wanted and stick her what she couldn't get so I could set it up for her to pick it up. When I got home she hadn't been by. I called to ask her why not. She said it was because it was hard. I lost it. I told her I didn't give a shit if it was hard, that I didn't care what was hard to her or to the piece of shit she was involved with. I told her to come over the next day and stick her what she wanted or I was putting it in the trash. And keeping what I wanted, I left the divorce papers on the coffee table for her to find when she did come over. She came over, stickered her crap, but the mood changed. She all of a sudden wanted to work on things. Things progressed, a few more bumps with this guy's and her giving him some stuff of his through the mail. And cutting off correspondence. She started seeing her own therapist, and we started marriage counseling. We did good for the first 8 or 9 months. I was honestly happy to have my family and her back. We spent time talking. She told me about a total of 4 guys that she had some form of inappropriate relationship with throughout our marriage. Not all physical, but still spending time with when I was working, and talking with at the minimum. I said I was happy for her to be clean and that I wanted to try anyway. But now things are getting rocky. We are a year away from D-Day and I find myself going back and forward about what I want to do. Things have been really hard lately. Our sex has slowed down. We aren't dating as much, and the lack of trust is kind of getting to me. She rarely initiates texting or calls. I have been the one to initiate sex for the past month or so. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. I have been thinking about what I want in my life and I kind of think I might be holding on because she is meeting some of my needs. But I don't think she is capable of meeting the more important one. I don't worry that I'll be alone forever. Last month I joined Tinder and Bumble and met a few girls. I set up a date with a beautiful girl and was texting a couple more. When the night came for the date, however, I decided I couldn't follow through. I canceled, deleted all the numbers, and the apps. I have been wondering why I feel like I need the confirmation. I think there are some needs not being met in my relationship. So the bad in that was that I came close to being a jerk and cheating on her. But it also showed me that I would be okay if she wasn't here as far as my physical needs. But I'm worried about my kid. I am worried about who my wife will bring around. How will this affect my child? Even with all of this being said, I would still miss my wife. But I almost feel like she is better friends with benefits material for me. That all comes from the lack of trust, communication, and enthusiasm. I don't know what I'm looking for on here. I guess just eyes to see the story, people.